And we are almost live. And here we go. Now are we live? Yes, we're live. Hey, I'm so bad at this. I'm live for 13 seconds and I'm staring and clicking at things. Hey, everybody, happy last day before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Eve. I am so excited to be here today, and I have the perfect guest for Thanksgiving Eve, because what we're going to talk about is actually giving back in an area that's really critical. So I have met Michelle just recently, and we had a really cool conversation when we first talked, and I wanted to share her story in this group because I think so many people will really find that they resonate with it. Mm-hmm. And Michelle, thank you so much for being here. I want to do a formal introduction because it really is quite impressive, and this background doing what you're trying to do is just so important in today's world. So without too much further ado, Michelle Riddle is a pediatric occupational therapist, a registered holistic nutritionist, and a faculty member at Vancouver Island University. She's also the founder of Global Alliance for Our Children's Future, which is what intrigued me the most and what we're going to talk about today. She collaborates with leading international scientists, educators, and the community to reverse the rising number of chronic neurodevelopmental conditions in children. She's got more than 25 years of community-based rehab experience and has helped thousands of children reverse symptoms associated with the 4 A's: autism, ADHD, anxiety, and aggression. She develops client-centered programs that target the roots of function to empower mental, physical, and emotional balance for the families she serves. She's the director of the soon-to-launch documentary, which I can't wait to see, Mission Possible: Protecting Our Children in a Toxic World. And she's the host of the Kids Brain Summit. She's been featured by Kids Brain Health Network, Healthy Food, Happy Kids, Autism Recovery Summit, and so much more. And she is the British Columbia Council for Family Service Award winner. And on top of all that, an internationally acclaimed speaker, and we have her here. So, Michelle, thank you so much for taking the time to do this and share your story with this group. And I'll just start out with the question that intrigued me the most. What is the Global Alliance for Our Children's Future?
Well, Pam, thank you so much for having me. You offer a really lovely platform here, so it is my true pleasure to be here. So the Global Alliance is a group that has the mission to create a world that empowers every child with the resilience to live a satisfying and productive life. It offers every child the right and the opportunity to breathe fresh air, drink clean water, and to eat chemical-free whole food. The whole idea is that we can reverse many of the symptoms that our children are struggling with. And I think we all now know, at least one child and maybe more who are struggling with emotions and social engagement and anxiety. How do I relate to everybody else around me? How do I process information? Yeah.
That's amazing. And I'm just curious, what got you involved or interested in this particular issue, which is running so rampant these days? Like, what was the driver that made you say, this is the thing?
Yeah, well, I've been doing rehab services with kids for forever. And I actually never met a child with autism until I had been working in the field for almost 10 years. And so between the 1990s and now, the incidence of autism has increased by more than 800%. So in the 1990s, the incidence was 1 in 10,000 children. And now the incidence is really, depending where you are, but it's moving towards 1 in 36 children.
Wow.
And yeah, it's really huge. But I had a personal experience. So my daughter, by the time she hit kindergarten, had more letters after her name than the doctor she was seeing. So she had SPD and ADHD and anxiety and aggression. And she had a safety plan and her own personal assistant. And she required a lot of support just to simply get out the door of the house.
Wow.
So her socks were too tight, and the sun was too bright, and the food couldn't touch, and all of these details that were too much for her to handle. And we had the wonderful fortune of her having a very, very severe reaction to an anesthetic that she had. And the doctor that was handling this case, she's in the middle of this 4-hour crazy reaction. And the doctor is asking me about lifestyle, about chemicals, about, all of these different things. I'm like, what does that?
Yeah, what does that have to do with anything?
Right?
Yeah.
She ended up with a broken nose, and the nurse had stitches, and there was some really rough stuff
Wow.
that came from that meltdown. But I figured that, if this guy is, in the middle of this going on, he's asking me all these questions, there's got to be something to it. And so she was actually chemically sensitive. And when we took the chemicals out of her system and started putting, a whole bunch of the really good stuff in, she got better. And her diagnosis no longer mattered. It didn't happen. She could walk out the door without issue. And when she was 9, she ended up winning an International Vocal Soloist Award. When
She's a singer.
as a singer, yeah. And when she was 6, she couldn't make it out the door without needing to be carried or supported, or and
Wow.
then she,
So was it just
3 years,
like
yeah.
other things like an anesthetic or something like that, or was food actually causing food and the components of food causing part of the problem as well? Did you do a whole diet elimination?
Yeah, we literally took garbage bags and got rid of anything that we could identify that had chemicals on them.
Of any kind at that
So the
point?
cleaners, the hand creams, the personal care products, the laundry soap, the dish soap, all of those things, the food.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was within 3 months that she did a turnaround. So
3 months? That's all it took?
that's all it took. It was really fast.
Wow.
And so I went back to school and started doing this kind of a clean house process with the clients I was seeing, because as a pediatric occupational therapist, I saw these kids now, right? These were the kids that were coming to me for supports. And I have had thousands of turnarounds just like that.
Wow.
And what science is telling us is that these young sensitive bodies cannot process all of these toxins that are coming into them.
Is it so the issue is we've got more toxins now than we used to have? Is that really it's just the exponential increase in cases is related to the exponential increase in toxins?
Yeah, and there's a lot of things with that. So toxins can be passed on through generations as well. And some bodies are better able to clean out the toxins than others. So there's a genetic component too.
Got it.
So some of us are more at risk than others. Yeah.
Wow. So how is your alliance having an impact on this and changing the future? What's how do these things all come together in the alliance?
Yeah, so the goal of the Alliance is to really bring information forward, to connect the dots between the research and the practices around the world, to allow a forum for sharing of this information, and to add a platform to inform, inspire, elevate, and educate families, caregivers, communities, our governments, about what we can do every day to make a difference for all of these kids, but our future as well. Because when we protect these kids, we're actually saving our world one child at a time.
Yeah.
Because if we're using less chemicals, that's less chemicals in the world. If we are conscious about where our food is coming from, that means that there's much more sustainable and accessible food available. So there's a lot of layers to the Alliance.
Are you getting a lot of support in Canada from regulatory agencies, that kind of thing? Or is that what you're seeking at this point?
So we are just now launching. And I have some wonderful members on our team. So we have people who are involved with the World Health Organization. We have doctors, pediatricians, neurologists. And so there is a lot of support out there to share the message, because it's simple lifestyle processes that can make such a difference. And now the options, like when you go to the grocery store, there are so many choices. Like you can choose chemical-free cleaners. They're right there
Yep,
on the
yep.
shelf in front of you, right? And when you need to replace your dish cleaner, you have that choice.
You have the option.
You have the option. And so letting people know what those options are is a big part of what we're wanting to do, is to bring that information forward.
And I'll tell you, this is something I've heard, been hearing about peripherally, but it's not anything that I will admit that I have focused in on.
Yeah.
I have an older daughter, but I'm sure I need to, because, this is, like you said, this is our future.
Yeah.
But hearing your story about your daughter and what the before was like and what the after was like, and that it transitioned in 3 months with some very simple changes, and just not something, they weren't simple, that's overstating it, but getting the chemicals out. I mean, to me, if you had multiples of those stories, there's no way to like argue or deny or pretend it's not, that this isn't a thing that helps.
Yeah. That's
such a compelling story, and it's really brought it to life for me much more than this had ever been alive before for me. So I encourage you to gather as many of those stories as you can and pull them into a lot of your media, because my gosh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and the stories really are fantastic. So I worked with a little boy, and this was another really great story. He was 4 when I saw him. He wasn't speaking. He wasn't getting out of the house without meltdowns. He lined up all his toys. He wasn't toilet trained. He wasn't eating well at all. He was really food opposed.
Wow.
And his family had heard about this program. And so again, same thing. I mean, and when I did a developmental assessment with him, he scored less than first percentile. So meaning 99% of the other kids his age did better than him.
Wow.
And again, his family took the garbage bags and literally cleaned everything out. And for him, it was a 5-month period of time. But the first time I saw him before I reassessed, I was just walking to the grocery store, and he was walking with his family holding their hands. Mom leans down and whispers in his ear, and he looks up, big bright face, "Hi, Michelle," and waves at me, full engagement. I'm like, holy smokes, who is this kid, right?
Wow.
And he started kindergarten that year in a French immersion program with no support. And his trajectory 6 months earlier had been looking like he would require lifelong support. Yeah. And so these are going to be our adults, right?
That's amazing. Well, that was actually going to be my question. So to these kids, as you do find the solution with them and they improve, does that mean they have to and need to stay chemical free then for life at that point?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we need to not just be able to help them initially. We need to create a world where they can effectively live chemical free themselves as adults.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And we can't be chemical free in our world. It's absolutely impossible. So you walk outside, you're huffing exhaust from cars, right? Yeah. But we can certainly change the amount of exposures that we have and do it in ways that it makes what exposures we have manageable within even these very sensitive bodies, which is terrific.
Wow, that's amazing. So I'm not clear exactly how this works.
Yeah.
In Canada versus the US, but you're something called a social profit company, right?
We are, yeah. We're a social profit company, and this is really it's the same as a not-for-profit.
Okay.
I just use the term it's social profit because everything that we're doing has big impact for the world as a whole, and our society is profiting from the work that we're doing.
Oh, I like that. So it's not an official term; it's a coined term. I like that a lot.
Yeah. And I actually got the term from Lynn Twist. She has another big social profit company.
Oh, cool.
And she's done a lot of global work.
We got to get that one some legs. All right, folks, that's a new term for us. It's social profit.
Yeah.
Forgive my barking dogs in the background. I've got the door closed and the gate up, and we can still hear them.
Yeah.
So you're just getting off the ground, you said, right?
We are. We're just looking at launching. And one of the things that I wanted to share with your audience is that we're running a contest, and this will be the first of annual contests, but we want to put together a list of the top 100 global children's champions.
Oh.
And so with this, I would love to invite your audience to, if they know somebody they think is a children's champion, to send their name through, or if they themselves think they are a children's champion.
Awesome. Where should they send that? I'll put it I'll go back and edit the text and tell me where they can send that if they.
Yeah, so they can send it to Michelle at
Okay.
resilienthealth.ca, and just a really short, 4 or 5 line email, identifying what they are doing to support our children's future, which
I love it.
Cleaning the world, having a community project where instead of flowers, they're planting kale in the community garden. Love it. So send through what they're doing, and I would love to support your audience.
That is so great. I love that. And I will make sure I include that. Thank you. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So folks, think about that. If you know somebody who's really making a difference in kids' lives today, put their name forward so that they can get honored with this special thing that's going on. Now, that aside, right? It's the business person in me. So you're launching this thing from nothing into a thing. What do you need to get what do you need to get this kind of messaging, this kind of business out into the world and rocking and rolling? In case my community can help you at all?
Yeah, so we need to have number the promotion, the options to get this information out there, because not a lot of people really do know about this.
Gotcha.
We also need funding, because we're bringing forward materials that we'd like to have easily accessible for families, for professionals, for community members that would like to take an idea. How do you start putting food into community planter boxes, right?
Yeah.
To get that plan, they could come into the Alliance site and pick up that plan and go forward in their community.
Wow.
So the goal is that we have accessible resources for the entire world, and things that people can do today.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Joe, one of the things I think, folks, just as that you can be a help with, if this is of interest to you, or if you have a child that is associated with any of these 4 A's that can cause such disruption for everybody, most notably them, reach out to Michelle and see, if there's one of the things she needs might be something that you could help with. So I know I've done that already, and we're talking, and there's just so much to bringing something like this forward, and it's a big uphill fight that you're going into. And the more we can, as friends and entrepreneurs, really help push that ball uphill, I think that this is the kind of thing that's going to make the world a better place for everybody's kids and grandkids too. So do you have any current fundraisers planned? You mentioned money. Is there something planned?
So we do. In February, we're launching the Kids Brain Summit. And so that is our first big fundraiser.
Okay.
And that's kidsbrainsummit.ca.
Okay. Oh yeah. Note the .cas on these folks. I'll put these links in the comments.
It isn't .ca. It's .com. You're right.
Oh, it is .com. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's your address is .ca.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Sid's Brain Summit is.
Yeah, that's great. It's .com.
Okay. Got it. And I'll put all these links down in the comments below so that people can. That's so in February. And what's that going to be? What's the fundraiser doing? How's that working?
Yeah, so we're offering, there's a lot of doctors and pediatric specialists that are going to be talking to this idea that what we're seeing in these kids are things that can be altered with simple lifestyle choices. And they're going to be presenting the science behind it. They're presenting the great inspirational stories and the things that people, again, can take away. So it can be businesses that want to have their own project. It can be families that want to make some changes to help their own kids. So there'll be tools that can be taken away for them right away. So it'll be offered free, and then people can, if they want to purchase the resources, they can do that, or they can do donations through
okay.
as
All
well.
right. All right, great. So that is something we will definitely check back in on, and come whenever you kind of get very close to that and you're doing the heavy duty fundraising, let me know. We'll repost it in here in case people are interested in contributing or attending, because
Yeah,
I think
and we're
it
also
could be
taking sponsors for it. So if there are businesses that would like to sponsor this, I think this is a really wonderful
yeah,
cause, because it's gonna benefit everybody.
yep,
We
I
talked
love
about
it.
the kids with the symptoms, but they helping them changes who our adults are going to be tomorrow.
Yep.
And by cleaning up the chemicals, by making the demand so we don't want all these chemicals in the things that we use, that cleans up the world, period.
Yeah, social profit company. I love it.
Yeah,
I've got a new term to get thrown around there, so that is so much fun.
yeah.
So this has been fantastic. What I'd love it if you would do, I can't thank you enough for coming on and kind of giving exposure to this to my group, because everybody's looking for things like this. I know many of my members have children that are affected by these apparently in some cases chemical reactions. So you may be hearing from some of them, but also, folks, if you can help us get exposure for Michelle, please, ping me, ping Michelle. I'll have all the information available. And then, Michelle, if you remind me again, if you think of it just in this group, just pop a note anytime you want, and we'll share the post so that people have the opportunity. I'll pin it to the top, and people can have the opportunity, can contribute and get involved.
Oh, that's fantastic, Pam. I really
Awesome.
appreciate this. I mean, you're doing some amazing things. I think that your company is really a social profit company.
Oh, you're awesome. That makes me feel really good, because it's there's so much we can do to just elevate the entrepreneurial game across the world, especially when entrepreneurs are doing the kind of work you're doing. So that's what it's all about. And I'm so grateful you chose to come on. And I know it's going to be hard to keep this level of guests up. This was fantastic. And I just want to wish everybody in the US a wonderful Thanksgiving tomorrow. I know it's going to be a little bit different for a lot of us, but it's still Thanksgiving, and a great time to sit down and really count all those gifts. And right now, Michelle, I consider you one of mine. So thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thank you, Pam, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Thank you so much. All right, we're going to wrap this up. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.